and welcome to the Warhammer Podcast, episode 225. I am your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
How's it going?
And on this week's episode, we have what is hopefully the beginning of a new series, Designing Dream Detachments.
Is that what we decided to go with?
I think that was the best one. We have a whole lot of D words, so if we do sequels to this, we can keep using next ones. It'll be great.
I am excited for this episode, though. 11th edition has some new tech, so we can actually make detachments.
Yeah, we'll get into it in the main discussion, but yeah, 11th edition has made this episode type much more doable. I know people in the past have wanted us to do this topic. It is here, and it is really fun to do. So let's jump in.
Sounds good.
All right, before we begin, quick little aside. I misspoke last week. I thought this week was tell you how to enter the contest. It's next week. I was off by a week, guys. I can't count. So there's a box of Armageddon and 10 Space Marine 2 keys. You can get them. Just as a reminder, like if you're a patron, you're automatically entered every month. If you're not, you have to wait till next week and follow instructions and deal with timing and all that. It's a lot harder. I like money. Feed me.
Wow.
All right, into the main topic.
So, designing detachments. We've had several requests to do this, and yeah, we could probably do that, but I don't know, 10th edition just didn't feel right.
Yeah, so there was a little bit less to 10th than 11th, and B, the fact that the detachment was everything at once, you kind of had to make an all-rounder. You couldn't make anything super fun because it probably would be too niche.
I mean, we had talked about several of the too niche detachments and being like, this is not good. Don't do that. And it's like, oh, we're going to design a bunch of those.
But the fun part of 11th is with detachment points being possibly the greatest thing in the edition, now that we've actually played with it a little bit, we can do a lot more. And 1 point detachments are a good bite size where we don't spend the whole episode talking about a single design. This is a much more doable topic now than it was in 10th. So I'm very excited. So Eric and I each picked 3 different factions to cover. We'll tell you as we go. Stop cheating and looking at the timeline. We banned Space Marines and Orcs because the codices are coming out very shortly. Like we'll probably get previews between us recording this and you hearing this. So
it's a good idea to avoid Space Marines and Orcs for that reason. This episode, we are going to be, here's a bunch of detachments and we're going to talk about them and stuff like that. But I feel like partly more of the excitement is talking about how, because we haven't really talked to each other about how we even went about designing, let alone what we ended up with. So I feel like it's going to be interesting to hear that thought process from you, the idea of how we design these types of things, even if some of them are maybe kind of shit or poorly balanced and all that stuff.
Yeah, but that's actually a good part of this topic is we'll get into some of how game design works and iteration and the fact that your first idea is almost never going to be the one the end user sees.
Yeah, it's generally a bad idea for that to happen.
Yeah, so before we get into our picks here and our actual detachments we designed, let's do a little bit of rules of engagement and how a detachment is made, at least the ones we've seen. So all of mine are 1-pointers because the only 11th edition detachments we've seen so far are 1-pointers. Did you do all 1-pointers?
I actually didn't. The one I have is a little odd, so I want to save that. But 1-point detachments are definitely the one that we probably should have focused on just because, like you said, that's what we've really seen that are designed for 11, and they are kind of a little bit easier to talk about when we've got several of them to talk. But it is interesting because they're not all the exact same. The general format of a 1-point detachment has the detachment rule, couple enhancements, and a few strats.
I believe 80% of them is you get a detachment rule, 2 enhancements, 3 stratagems, and then it warps from there. Sometimes they go down on stratagem count to go up on enhancement count. I'm not going to read all of these, but for some examples, Berilio can throw them up on screen for you if you're unfamiliar. Space Marines has Librarius Conclave, where they have 0 strats, and instead they end up with 5 enhancements. So the strats all became enhancements. Then you've got Experimental Prototype Cadre, where it's just like that, but they removed 2 of the stratagems for 1 extra enhancement. Oh, it's Tau. They hate Tau. I forgot that fact. You lose 1 in the crossover, right?
I mean, yeah, that is probably just because they hate Tau, but but there is an amount of like complexity to like the rule, the different enhancements, strats.
Yes, they can carry different weight in complexity over a game. I would argue of all of them, stratagems is the heaviest of the bunch, but that's a different topic. And then we have like the very minor one pointers they've done a couple of. The worst example in my head is the Living Miracle. It is an entire detachment point to buff your Emperor's Champion model, at which point just fix the fucking data sheet.
Yeah, there's some baggage, all right? Like there's some baggage from 10th to 11th that we just kind of have to accept.
Yeah, it's always the case pre-codex. You've got to deal with whatever, especially because we didn't get to index to reset things.
Yeah, but the general format is a detachment rule, 2 enhancements, 3 strats, 1 point.
And you can shift between enhancement and strat.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into these then. Eric, what's your first pick on our little draft we did?
So I think the first one was Chaos Knights, but I want to save that. So let's skip to the next one and let's talk about Custodes.
Okay, so Adeptus Custodes. What did you do?
Custodes has 9 detachments now. 3 are 1 points, 1 is a 3 point, which is kind of anemic.
It is.
But Custodes is not like the largest faction from just a unit count, but they did hit a few of the key points. You know, it wasn't one of those where it's like, I've got to get the Unleash the Lions. If they took that away from us, it'd be like, oh, this is easy. Okay.
Fair.
They also have the Anathema Psychana. So like, let's not do another detachment for that. So then it was kind of like, where do we actually want to go? We've got like a Walker's detachment. We've got some just like general decent stuff. And I started looking a little bit more at Solar Spearhead. Solar Spearhead has the detachment rule of when an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit is at its starting strength, it gets +2 OC. If it's below the starting strength, it gets the ability to reroll a hit roll of 1. And then if it's below half strength, it can reroll a hit roll of 1 or a wound roll of 1. It reminded me of the Tyranids detachment, that monster mash that's like, if you've been hurt, get better. But it was always one of those like, what if you had a bonus to getting hurt?
Okay,
what do we got here? Because this could be interesting, right? So I started playing around with trying to have some benefit from taking damage on the vehicles, at which point you would have a 1 point detachment, which is what I was trying to focus on here, pairing up with Solar Spearhead, which is a 2 point detachment, and we got a combo. Take some damage, get some buffs from taking the damage, get some buffs unlocked from Solar Spearhead. Hey, let's see what's going on. I played around with several ideas and eventually kind of came to a theming of like kind of like self-sacrifice shield idea. The Custodes basically like running in front and being badasses and like defending.
Okay, that fits well lore-wise.
So my detachment rule, and I tried putting some flavor in here. It's all shit. I'm terrible at that.
We should have that conversation. So you're saying you did the like, you tried to make real final, somewhat lore defensible names for things that obviously a lore guy from the lore team has to go through and like fine tune, but you tried.
I tried to get something that was helping sell the theme. You know, you've got the rules as written or rules as intended. And the idea is like the name and theming should help sell the intended thing for when like a rules person actually passes it with lore in mind and goes, what the fuck was he talking about? Oh, I kind of sort of get it a little bit more.
So we're going to use some Magic the Gathering R&D terminology here because, well, Magic just has one of the best freely available infinite lessons on game design because Mark Rosewater's podcast alone is more than any other company on earth has ever put out. And there's still other ways they've communicated how to do game design.
The drive to work is amazing.
Yes. If you're into amateur game design, you should listen to that podcast. It has over 1,000 episodes. Many of them will help you understand why you do certain things in design and how to do design work.
Put up with the bad audio quality. It is worth it.
But to explain this, you went with the general rule of a top-down design, a start with the flavor and then fill out the rule. In this case, maybe not exactly top-down, but you used the flavor to help sell the rule.
Yeah, it was kind of like a back and forth of came up with an idea rules-wise, then had some flavor on top, which actually flavored what the idea was to kind of flesh it out in a way that sort of made sense to me.
Yeah, where yours lore helps solidify your rule.
Yeah.
That helps with the fantasy of the army, making sure that you're staying in line with what the player expects it to do.
Right. Which is actually a big deal just in general for game design, but even more so for something like Warhammer.
Yeah, where the lore matters to the person playing it a lot. It's not just a mechanical game like chess, where what is a rook in chess? Who cares? It's a piece that moves straight forward.
Yeah.
I will say that in at least one of my detachments, I use something much closer to what you would see come out of design if you were to do a game dev thing where it's all got just fill in funny 2 seconds put into it for thought. It's not going to be serious in any way. It will get fixed up at the end after we know that this is something that's going to stick around. It's very common in a design process that you go like, look, this is mechanically what I'm going for. I don't care about the flavor yet. We will figure that out as we go. Here's some temp flavors so that we can say what the rule is and we can move on and we'll get testing. And then once we're solidified, then we can start getting our proper high gothic stupid name.
Yeah. And as much as I did kind of try, I'm terrible at it. And if it eventually printed with any of the theming that I have, somebody screwed up somewhere.
Yeah, look, this is your design guy's best guess at this, but you need the lore guy to come in from the lore team and go, actually, this isn't called By the Golden Throne. This is called Minotaurum Thronius or whatever.
Thronius. Yes. So with that all said, the detachment rule that I came up with here is Emperor's Divide. And I got that name, I think, popped into my head from a League of Legends champion.
Fair enough.
The sand manipulator or whatever. So the detachment rule is Adeptus Custodes vehicles, excluding aircraft, have the following ability. Grand Defense is an aura. When a friendly Adeptus Custodes unit within 6 inches of the bearer is selected as the target of one or more ranged attacks, the bearer can shield the target until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is allocated to a shielded unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. To shield a unit with 3 or more models, the bearer rolls a d3 and takes that much damage. Otherwise, the bearer takes 1 damage. So it's one of those like the more you have to shield, the more damage you're going to take, more likely.
I already have notes, but let's keep going.
You see the idea. It's an aura that you're going to try and defend other things, and you're taking some damage, at which point maybe it's going to combo with the Solar Spearhead. But I did also have enhancements and strats. Enhancements, I've got one that domain controls an upgrade, Adeptus Custodes vehicle model only, add 3 inches to the range of this model's grand defense aura. So instead of it being 6, it's 9. The Golden Light is an upgrade, Adeptus Custodes vehicle model only. The bearer's unit has mobile. That one kind of whatever, throw away, but it should help gameplay.
Yeah, it will help get your like big grav tank correctly positioned.
Yeah, and then the strats. For 1 CP, Conservize Stance, and I think this is from something that I saw in 9th edition.
Yeah, it's one of the old stances from Kataz.
When your movement phase, target Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit that has not been selected to move this phase. The effect is until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. And on this one, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have an action call out in there as well.
I think you basically do the action call out if you're going priority assets or disruption on this, and otherwise you don't.
I was thinking this would be take and hold from a theme aspect.
Shielding, take and hold, that makes sense. They, rather than like meta game what a detachment's disposition is, they seem to be starting it at least before we get into balance passes later at what is it thematically.
Yeah, because it is one of those that like Solar Spearhead, I believe, is take and hold as well. So it was like from a gameplay aspect.
You would want it to be something else if that was the plan of your designing this so that they will play both. But from a lore aspect, this makes more sense to be take and hold, but maybe it should be something else if we're like getting to the development stage and it's like the plan is to make people want to play these together. This should lead to a choice, not be the same thing.
Yeah, and it's either then like you make some changes here, or I mean you could switch Solar Spearhead to something else. But either way, I do agree. Like that's why action wasn't in like the actual main thing. It was just a note that I kept in as like maybe keep it in mind. The next strat is 1 CP for assault deployment. When is your movement phase. Target is one Adeptus Custodes transport unit from your army that has not been selected to move this phase. The effect is until the end of the phase, units can disembark from your transport after it has advanced. Units that do so count as having made a normal move this phase and cannot declare a charge in the same turn, but can otherwise act normally. So basically, to move your transport up and then disembark. Again, a little bit less on the theme there. It's like the giving mobile of like, there still has to be some gameplay here.
As a quick note, you definitely use 10th edition wording on this one. In 11th edition, you would change the type of disembark you do.
Yeah, I had thought about that and then was like, I don't know, it's close enough.
Exactly. That's a good one of like, when you design, you write it like this, and then the development guy fixes this and goes, that's not how this works this edition. We use this wording now, and it'll work the same way you intended, but with the correct rules.
Yeah, definitely. And then, the last strat is 1 CP Vixilia Defensor. When your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, you target a friendly Adeptus Custodes unit that is shielded, and the effect is until the end of the phase, models in your unit have the benefit of cover against that attack. It's just kind of like a little bit of bonus. That wording was even a little bit more skeptical on how to do that, but I mean, I think it's pretty obvious the intent.
Yeah.
That is my Custodes detachment. Again, I haven't entirely thought on how balance is for a lot of the stuff.
My thought initially, as soon as you read the rule, is 1-point detachments are supposed to be a narrow band of what they affect in the army. I think this one would end up having to exclude walkers.
Yeah.
At least for the rule, and then maybe the enhancements, and then the strats might still be able to affect them.
The only problem is there aren't that many non-walker vehicles.
It's 3/4 depending how they split the 11th edition, because it's technically 2 things in Horus Heresy.
It's 3/4, maybe, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, it's tough with small ranges to figure out what they want to be the quote-unquote narrow.
I agree, though. You brought up a thing that I have as well in my notes of like, I don't know about this. I would prefer not to have the walkers included in this, because like that's a separate part. Like that, there are detachments that do that.
We'll talk about it in detail in one of my detachments because I have a very specific design. But generally, the rule is they want it where you could not stack all 3 of your detachment points affecting a single type of unit with a bunch of stacking buffs. If 2 detachments are not 3 detachment points, then they don't want both of those to be able to buff the same units unless it's like one of them is super passive and does nothing, like detection range could probably get a freebie. But they're trying to not have it where something has a data sheet X and then you get in game and it's like X plus 50% in power because of all the stacking rules we put on top. So the only dangerous part here is that there is a walker detachment.
So one of the things that I had thought of, maybe we could play with the unique keyword. So the walker 1-point detachment has armory.
Yep.
So like maybe you could do something like that, other than the fact that I'm pretty sure Solar Spearhead also has armor.
Oh, does it? That's disappointing.
If it doesn't, then everything's solved.
Give me a moment. I have a very powerful tool in front of me with access to the total sum of human knowledge.
Yeah. It hallucinates every once in a while.
Not that, Jesus Christ. I'm not a masochist. Solar Spearhead does have armory.
Yeah.
Again, because they don't want you to stack. But in this case, you designed this one specifically to accent Solar Spearhead. You maybe have it where this one gets slapped with a keyword that it shares with the other 1-pointer, but this one could be taken with Solar Spearhead because it's designed around being able to be taken with it.
Yeah.
This is a fun design thing of purposefully seeding a combo.
Yes.
This is used to get someone's first combo. It is safe. You designed around it. You intend for them to play it, but it makes your player feel clever when they find it. And they'll find it the first time they read the book if you do it right. And they'll go, I'm a genius. And then they will play it. And they're doing what you intended, but they feel so damn smart for it.
Exactly. There's plenty of interactions that are combo styled that are not intended just because this is a complex game, that like seeding a few every once in a while that are like actually thought out is always nice. But yeah, I do think that it would be better to have a unique keyword on this one, add that new unique keyword to the other 1 point, the Walker 1 point detachment, so that those can't actually be taken together.
But accent it with Solar Spearhead being taken into account as you intend for it to be played with this. We test it out and make sure it's balanced between the two.
Yeah, I don't know. This could be very unbalanced. Any DR style is always scary.
Yeah, the detachment rule on this one, I feel like Shield just might need a worse downside. That's probably where the balance lies.
I tried to make it so it was only ranged attacks. I mean, D3 is not nothing.
Also, we probably have to make it where friendly Adeptus Custodes infantry unit within 6 is probably the first thing we'll have to do once we start testing. You can leave it generic to go into testing, and then you get into testing and go, I do not want vehicle shielding vehicles.
In the like test phases on here, like I've got the excluding aircraft. I was like, yeah, let's not fuck with that. But maybe we take a look at what vehicle shielding vehicles does. It's almost certainly going to be excluded as well, but let's take a look. Let's see what happens. Let it percolate in the testing phase and see what actually breaks.
All right. I generally like what you did here design wise. This is cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what you've got for your first one. I think you had some type of elves that was specifically not Eldari.
We're not going in my draft order.
Okay.
Because like you, we'll start simple and we'll work our way to horribly stretching what the bounds of a 1 point detachment is.
All right, where are we going?
Genestealer Cults.
Haha, simple.
So, Eric, do you want to know something fun?
Yes, I do.
Would you like to take a wild guess? Since I'm asking the question, you can probably guess the answers. How many times the letters demo or one shot appear in the Genestealer Cults Codex if you control F the book because you have a superpower and you can control F codices? Do you know how many times that appears outside of the notes about how to return models to a unit in the rules and all that?
I am fairly confident demo, it doesn't exist. I thought they had a one shot, but since you're asking this, probably doesn't.
So demolition charges, demolition charge cache, one-shot weapons, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
Outside of the data sheets that they're on, nothing in the codex buffs them, interacts with them, tries to do anything interesting whatsoever with them. Look, Genestealer Cults was not the most beloved codex.
I am kind of shocked. I thought they did something one shot, but it's hard to remember after all the iterations of their army rule.
Yeah, so this one, I kept my design name on it. Cool cultists don't look at explosion.
Nice.
A 1 DP disruption detachment because thematically planting bombs all over the place is disruption, like looking at the other disruption detachments that do this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that does make sense. And I like the naming, and I'm assuming that some of that's going to percolate through the rest of this detachment.
Oh yeah, you do not let your end user see what I am writing in this detachment. This is for your dev team to laugh at and then scribble it out and go, ask the lore guy, but I think this says this, right?
Yeah, there's an amount of, it does explain the intent. It's kind of funny. You'll get a chuckle out of it, but no, it's not ever this.
All right, so for my rule for the detachment, remote explosives and demolition charge cache weapons in your army have +1 S, +1 AP. So strength and an AP.
Okay.
For people who won't know what all of these stat lines are, basically demolition charges is your basic one that everything else is based on. It is a assault blast hazardous one-shot weapon. So you can fire it after advancing. It has blast. It's got hazardous, so you're probably taking mortals, and it's one shot, so you can only fire it once per game. For the basic stat line for it, it's got an 8-inch range for throwing it, D6 attacks, a ballistic skill of 4 up, it's 3 up for the character version, a strength of 9, an AP of 2, and a damage of 2. So this changes it from 922 to 1032. So it gets us over certain thresholds with strength, which is very nice, and a third AP is really strong, especially because these are one shots. Obviously the detachment is going to play with that fact, but these are one shots. That's all it does. So it's literally making your Genestealer version of a hunter-killer missile that's just going to miss anyway. It's making the equivalent of that better.
Interesting choice for the strength and AP. But yeah, let's keep going and see what else you've got here.
All right, this one is very basic. I did 2 enhancements, 3 stratagems. I did not play with the style of a 1-pointer in this. So enhancement 1, strapped satchels, a Reductus Saboteur model only. The bearer's demolition charges lose 1 shot, and the bearer has deadly demise D6. Basically, our sweet bomber lady that everyone loves the model well of. She's just strapped up to the nines and bombs. So she can always throw her one-shot weapon, and it means she's going to explode when she dies sometimes. Fun enhancement.
That is thematically entertaining.
And then for our second enhancement, it is an upgrade. The upgrade can only hit Atellan Jackal units. That is our bikers. So Atellan Jackal units only.
Who, if I recall correctly, don't have a demo charge, right?
Correct. They have an ability that is themed on demo charges, but they don't actually have the weapon profile.
Okay.
So Atellan Wolf quads in this unit have the following weapon. Demolition charges. Assault Blast, Hazardous one shot, range 8, attacks D6, BS 4 up, strength 9, AP minus 2, damage 2. It is the literal demolition charge copy pasted from the Acolyte squad. So now you have your Rectus Saboteur, Acolytes, your Jackals that take this upgrade, and your trucks that have the cash version that is mentioned in the army rule are the different things that this can affect.
Okay. That actually is a decent amount, yeah.
But again, to make Jackals affected, you have to give them the upgrade. So maybe you only want to do this for one Jackal squad and that's all you put in. Maybe you want to just make sure you're getting a lot of one shots so this detachment is not literally being used once per game.
It kind of needs the upgrade, so like you could go further into it just because like you can have a few units of Atellan Jackals. Because the Wolf quads, you can have 1 or 2 of them per 10.
On the double up squad, you can do 2 of the Wolf quads. So you could technically fit 2 demo charges for 1 upgrade if you do it on a double size.
Okay. I mean, that's not too bad. And they're not that expensive just because, I mean, it's like Genestealers. Things are not points costed that high. Cool.
So then I've got 3 strats. The strats here are very professionally named, and we definitely do not ever let these leak to the public.
Ah, yes. I'm looking at the note. Yes.
The first one is Lelouch would be proud, for a meme for old sad weebs. 1 CP for a strategic ploy. Honestly, I don't even know if we type these anymore. Now in 11th, they just have like a little symbol, and I don't know what the symbol means. I assume those are the replacements for the types.
I don't think we write those out anymore, but like I also don't remember which symbol's which.
Some have like hammer and then skull with arrows both ways, or arrow with skull one way, or it's got a like target symbol with skull the other way. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this means. I'm too afraid to ask.
I just read it and I'm like, yeah, this is what it does. Got it.
Anyway, I'm going to ignore that until we figure out if that's ever going to have rules relevance in 11th. But for now, I'm calling it a strategic ploy because that's what it would have been in 10th.
Okay.
So when your opponent's movement phase, when an enemy unit ends a move within 8 inches of a friendly Reductus Saboteur unit, and no Reductus Saboteur unit has used planted explosives this battle round, and that is because, for those who have never seen this sheet, it has an ability on it that's once per game. This model can use this ability, but only one of this model can use it on any given battle round, kind of like, you know, captains.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You get to do it once and once per round.
Yeah, so you can't have all 3 activated at the same round and stand them all next to each other to do a billion mortals. That's how it originally works. So this is saying we haven't used that ability this round and we got close to one of our saboteurs. Target that Reductus Saboteur unit. Effect, your unit can activate planted explosives even if it has already done so in this battle. So it lets you reuse planted explosives for 1 CP, assuming you can get a Reductus Saboteur to survive multiple turns.
Is the intent to still be able to use it even if you did use it on a different one at the same time?
No, that's why it says, and no Reductus Saboteur has used planted explosives this battle round.
All right, makes sense.
Because this will activate the ability, and thus it will have been activated, thus you cannot do it on another one this battle round, so you still don't break the once per battle round trick. I tried to play within the general spirit of the rules for what GW seems to be wanting to go for with stuff like this and not doing certain stacking strat stuff and all that. We're not breaking the rule with this one.
I feel like it probably could have been okay, but I don't think it's necessary to screw with it. So yeah.
If there's a major problem with this detachment, it's this next one, because I already know the abuse case, competitively speaking. Strong third arm is 1 CP for a war gear stratagem when your shooting phase, when a unit equipped with demolition charges or demolition charge cache is selected to shoot, and the target that unit. Effect, demolition charges and demolition charge cache weapons equipped by that unit have plus 4-inch range and lose hazardous. So you're throwing it further so it's not hazardous and you can throw it further.
So it puts it to 12-inch.
Yeah, so it takes it from 8 to 12. So obviously the abuse case here is this means you can deep strike 8 inches away, activate this, and throw your demo charges straight out of deep strike. And it's 8-inch range specifically, so you can't do that. This is a possible problem and may have to get swapped for something else. It's a question for for when we get to development, right? Like this is where we go play test it and go, nope, not this one. Change it for a different strat.
Yeah, I think it's fine enough to like try and see what actually happens. I mean, this is Genestealers. It's not like they've broken anything ever.
Yeah, right?
But also it's one of those that like, since they have broken everything always, it's not too crazy to be like, okay, we have to test this a little bit more than normal. Let's see what happens. But it is neat. It is a cool idea. I like it.
And then obviously the one that's your basic, your most obvious one to put in, 1 CP strategic ploy called Prison Pocket. Probably don't launch with that name.
That was probably the worst out of all these. Yeah, okay.
When your command phase, target a unit in your army with one-shot weapons that have been shot this battle. Effect, those one-shot weapons are no longer considered to have been shot. To my knowledge, that is the correct wording for this. Basically, reload your one-shot weapons without having the unit die and come back as a new one of it.
Yeah, I mean, the only real question there, and this would be like a balance kind of thing, is like, do you make it so like you can't target this multiple rounds kind of thing on the same unit?
I think the point of this is to make it where like if they are actively using a CP on this every round to get back one of their squad's one-shot weapons each round, we built this detachment around that is literally the core gameplay loop we want them to play.
Yeah.
It is, we turn one-shot weapon into CP sync.
If there's a problem, it's probably because there's some other balance issue. This is the strat that like we want to be the healthy end result. So try and figure out how to balance whatever else needs to be done. I am kind of interested that you didn't mess around with any of like the attack characteristics.
Yeah, that was in my early one. So this is a good one to explain like how we went about this. We prepped for this episode for the last like week and a half here, and I was literally texting notes to myself in bed and stuff while thinking of this stuff. This is a lot of how design works, of like when the idea strikes you, write it down for when you're actually sitting at your computer doing the work.
Yeah.
It's really hard to always be fully charged, ready for the genius idea. So like sometimes you just get the perfect idea and you scribble down 50 ideas and 49 of them suck.
I have a similar thing of like I've got a notes app on the phone. A bunch of the ideas didn't go anywhere, but like most of them I kind of knew the intent of like, oh yeah, this is what I was trying to do. Let's see if it actually makes any sense and like I want it. There's a few though that you're like, that is the ramblings of the insane. Let's just ignore it and never accept that it actually happened.
So for the you didn't play with the attack one. So obviously the current version of these are 10th edition ones where it just says blast. Technically they should say blast 1 in 11th edition, and technically I should update that on my one that I give through explosive cache. But I debated originally changing it to blast 2, but the longer I thought about it, the more I was like, I'd rather just up the strength to 10. And then I was looking at it, I'm like, I don't think that's enough of doing something with a one-shot weapon unless you're like really going all in on this one pointer and like investing a large chunk of your army around it. And then I'm like, okay, I'll give it the AP 2 to help offset it because the damage is probably way too much.
Yeah, I think when you start thinking about this, you're like, okay, what characteristics can you mess around with? And what the damage one, I think that one's a pretty obvious 2 is the right number there.
Yeah, we're not touching it when we have a variable amount of attacks of
yeah.
Let's not touch the 2 damage. AP is pretty safe. Strength going from 9 to 10 is a huge like, okay, now we changed how it works on 5s, we changed how it works on 9s and 10s.
But I do think it's reasonably safe at like 10 because it was all like 9, 10 is a big difference, but it's not one of those like, oh, you're just blowing everything up.
Yeah, it's an important breakpoint for like light to medium vehicles. It changes both of them and it changes toughness 5 units.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty solid plus there, especially when you're like build around demo charges. Make this your thing.
The variable number of attacks, when you're putting a detachment together, I think they're all D6, right?
Yeah, every one is D6 to my knowledge. They're slightly different of like Saboteur has 1 better BS because it's a character. I actually think it's 2 because hybrids have like a BS of 5 on it, but then like the trucks, it's a BS of 4. Oh no, trucks is a BS of 5 too, actually. Whoopsie. Maybe I should have made it BS 5.
I could see you messing with the ballistic skill on some of like the worst ones.
Yeah, if anything, I think the one I give out might have to change to BS 5. We could test it at BS 4 and have it be like the best of the non-character ones, but definitely needs play. I think it's a very fun thematic detachment. It affects only a couple units, +1 if you get into the enhancement, which I think is a fun little design space.
I like the enhancement. That helps a lot.
It's a very, very safe, believable one. I don't think this one really stretched anything for like, hey, can we do this?
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty safe. The only question is like, were there any plans to like, oh, how's that going to pair up with other things? I know you went disruption because like thematically, yeah, obviously, like it makes sense.
Yeah, I looked at it and I couldn't find anything that keyword has to be blocked for this. Genestealers has already kind of written like a bunch of 1-pointers that happen to be 2-pointers because they have too many stratagems.
Yeah, actually.
The 1-pointer Heroes of the Uprising technically has some design overlap, but like I don't think it's enough to block it, but we could keep it in mind. I am always of the mind of let it break first. That's what data slates are for. In 3 months, if it's a problem, we block it then. If it's not a problem, we would have blocked it and never known it wasn't a problem, and now we just have a bunch of dead detachments that don't have their synergies.
Yeah, I mean, I think this obviously needs like a balance pass.
I would almost highlight Strong Third Arm as the designer sending this off and being like, here's the thing you need to test first. Tell me this one doesn't work and I'll throw you my 4th strat idea instead and we'll put that in the slot and then you can test the detachment further.
Yeah, but like, I mean, other than that, I like it.
All right, what was your second one you wanted to go through then?
Let's take a look at Votann. This one was weird. Votann's a new faction, so it's one of those like there isn't that much, honestly, to like look back on and be like, oh, I know all the ideas going on. Like even in like 9th, there was 5 data sheets or whatever. They have more now, so like there is play, there is a bunch of stuff to do. They honestly have 9 or 10 detachments.
It's more than a couple factions, which is kind of funny.
I think it's 10. It might be 9, but like it's similar to Custodes. You could have more. There's still room.
Yeah, it's not enough, but it is not the worst thing on earth.
Yeah, especially because like these are smaller ranges. So what am I actually gonna do here? And let's try and play around with yield points. They're the army rule. They're kind of neat.
It does get into like, we're doing these before the codices. Will this be the army rule for the 11th codex for Votann? I'm going to bet not, just because it's been different every time now. And this isn't the most beloved. It's extremely divisive.
Well, and that's kind of why it was one of those like, I want to play around with the army rule to figure out what changes are going to happen when the codex comes out. Like, what do we need to do? Let's, think on what possibilities this army rule can do. Do we just scrap it and come up with something different?
Okay, so it's an army rule accenting detachment, but a 1-pointer version of it. So you can't do too much because if we have multiple things that touch the army rule, we're in super danger.
Yeah, right. So this one I think has a lot that needs to be thought of balance wise. So there are some other detachments that kind of play around with yield points, the army rule, either in like how it's generated, how it's actually being toggled.
Yeah, like how you process the yield points.
Yeah, a real quick rundown is you get yield points for holding objectives. You get more as you hold more, essentially. When you have less than 7 yield points, your hostile acquisition, which gives you reroll advance and charge. And when you attack an enemy unit that's within range of an objective marker, add 1 to the hit. If you're 7 or more, you get fortify takeover, which is when you attack an enemy unit, if you're within range of an objective marker, you get 1 to hit roll. And
if strength greater than your toughness, then you take -1.
Subtract 1 from the wound. That whatever. It's annoying to say, honestly. But
they've used that mechanic so much in 10th, it's keywordable.
It really should be keyworded just because it is used so much and it's so annoying to say. But okay, you're building up yield points, and like as you're on less yield points, you're trying to be more aggressive. As you get more, you're trying to be more defensive, kind of thing. The idea being that like you've taken enough ground to now dig in. It's kind of neat. There are a couple detachments that mess with it. So, oh man, Need Guard. Sure.
I'm not learning how to pronounce.
Yeah, we'll go with Need Guard. It's a 2-point detachment, and it makes it so that each time an enemy unit is destroyed, you gain a yield point. And then it's got other stuff going on with yield points as well. But like, so that's like its detachment rule. And then we've also got Mercenary Oathband, which basically is you get to choose if you want hostile acquisition or fortify takeover. You just pay 3 yield points to switch back and forth. So like, there are other detachments that play with the yield points, which kind of gives me hope that like, okay, we can keep doing this. Those 2 are 2-point detachments. This is a 1. So the real concern is how they combo together.
Correct.
Tried keeping it in mind, but that's the maybe we have to keyword something, maybe we have to make numbers change. But it's also one of those like, this is how we figure out the depth of yield points. How can we figure out the limits to this army rule? Is this the army rule that we want to keep going with? So my detachment is 1 point. We're going with take and hold. The detachment rule Iron Council is if you're currently in hostile acquisition, Ironkin Steeljacks have +2 movement.
Okay.
If you're currently in fortified takeover, Ironkin Steeljacks have a 5-up invuln.
Oh, that's much better. Okay, remind me, what's their natural save? And they don't have any invuln, right?
So Ironkin Steeljacks, there's one with Vulcanite Disintegrators and one with melee weapons. They move 5, they're T6, they have a 2-up save, 3 wounds, no invuln, but a 2-up T6.
Okay. I always in my head, I've got 2 versions of this. If your invuln is 2 off from your save, I consider that like a quote unquote good invuln where it is now AP -2 is the cap. You can never get blasted by like a -3, -4 weapon. When you get to 3 away from your save like this one, I consider it a bonus points invuln. So like the +2 move on a move of 5 versus a 5-up invuln when you already had a save of 2 are actually pretty fairly the same.
They're both pretty minimal is my expectation, but they should be kind of nice when it matters.
Yeah.
Trying to keep this detachment rule kinda not super powerful because the idea is that the enhancements and strats are going to be playing with yield points.
Okay.
So let's get into that with the enhancements. We've got high quality disintegration, which is an upgrade. So Ironkin Steeljack units only. You can pay 2 yield points to improve the armor penetration characteristic of attacks from this unit's heavy Vulcanite Disintegrator.
Until end of turn?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, is this a like, if you pay 2 every turn, we get this thing up to like -6 AP?
No, you're just going to be like, yeah, I guess that would also have like, you can only do this once or whatever. But so the heavy Vulcanite Disintegrator is 6 attacks, 4 up, 6 strength, -1 AP, 1 damage, dev wounds. So not the most impressive, but like it's a little something. And 2 yield points shouldn't be too difficult to get. Then we've got the next enhancement is Precision Tracking Differentiator. I went a little wild with that one. Memnir Strategist model only. You can pay 2 yield points only if you're already in hostile acquisition, and then it's free. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of a 5-up scores a crit.
Okay.
So that one's kind of like playing a little bit with try to get into hostile acquisition.
So Memnir Strategist can lead the Ironkin?
Yeah.
Okay. What is their weapons hit effect?
So we've got technically the heavy Vulcanite Disintegrators have melee weapons, but like let's take a look at the Ironkin Steeljacks with melee weapons. They've got a Concussion Gauntlet, which is 3 attacks, 4 up, 10 strength, -2 AP, 2 damage, lethal hit.
Okay, so lethal hits is cool.
Plasma Sword, sustained hits 1, 6 attacks, 3 up weapon skill, 6 strength, -2 AP, 1 damage.
Okay, so you have 2 different types of weapons you could load them out with, and both of them have... Okay.
We've also got a neat little War Gear ability. Each time a model in the bearer's unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit within the range of 1 or more objective markers on a critical wound, that attack has a precision ability. So it's kind of like, hey, we're looking for crits just in general.
Yeah, but that's crit wound and this is crit hit. So we're not screwing with that and making accidental precision machines either. Okay.
Right? We're not breaking anything, but they're also like, okay, Ironkin, we're trying to make them be critting stuff. Then we get to strats. 1 CP for, I don't know, I looked up something and I don't know what this word is. So it's like steel hardening or something like that.
Carbonitriding.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's something that like I vaguely remember watching a YouTube video of like a blacksmith, like for whatever reason, you know, one of those like 3 a.m. you wake up, you're like, I'm going to watch something on YouTube, just random blacksmith. So when your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, the target is 1 Ironkin Steeljack unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. I don't think that's quite right, but
sure, I get the point. Yeah.
The effect is when you use a strat, you can spend 4 yield points. Till end of the phase, this unit has a 6-up invulnerable save. If you spend yield points during the usage of the stratagem, this unit has a 4-up invuln save instead. So it's one of those that like, it gives you a shitty invuln as something just in case you're like, I don't have anything to do. But really it's spend 4 yield points and you get a 4-up invuln.
Okay. And you can do that when you would normally not have your 5-up invuln.
Yeah, you can do that during hostile acquisition if necessary.
Yeah. And you might want to be dumping it to stay in hostile acquisition and spend CP and yield points to stay in hostile acquisition while getting an invuln instead of going to fortify takeover. Okay.
I'm so glad that it's like kind of coming across.
I see the design. I like it. Okay.
Then 1 CP, financial fortitude when your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. The target is a Memnir strategist attached unit, so it's like target the Memnir strategist and their Ironkin. I think that's a thing that you can do. I vaguely feel like I've seen that around, but yeah, target that unit that was selected as a target of a unit's attacks. You can pay 3 yield points to target any Leagues of Votann infantry unit instead.
Oh.
The effect is until end of the turn, add 2 to the toughness characteristic of models in your unit.
2?
2.
Also, 11th lets you make that be plus 2T. It makes it look really nice.
Is it? Okay, because like that was like my notes to myself was just...
It would say until end of phase that unit has, and then it would just say plus 2T.
Like that was in it, and then I tried looking at something else that I was like, I'm pretty sure something else did this, and I saw one that was kind of similar, and it wrote it out like this, but that's from 10th, I'm sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of my infinite hours doing Horde mode, making sure it matched 11th edition and all the wordings we could, I have way too much knowledge of little stuff like that now.
Yeah, this is one of those that like I started getting in like losing my mind. This one and the next one. Like I had to ask you if I was crazy. The next one is 0 CP for the best healers. I gave up on naming.
Actually, this is a little close to the name of something I have, so that's fine.
So it's fine. So clearly, the target is an Ironkin Steeljack unit from your army, and the effect is when you use a strat, you can spend up to 6 yield points. This unit heals 1 wound for every 3 yield points spent. So it's a lot of spending yield points.
So the entire point of this detachment is you are actively trying to stay in hostile acquisition, using CP and yield points to stay there, keeping your high movement, and getting your invuln through the CP expenditure.
Yep.
If we go into Fortify Takeover, we're still okay because it's just you've got a 5-up invuln until you spend back down on your one unit we care about in this. Yeah, okay.
And it is mostly focused on Ironkin Steeljacks. But I tried to, sprinkle a little bit in there with that one strat of like, hey, it can do something else. But like, this is 1 point detachment. We're focused on Ironkin Steeljacks and trying to play around with yield points.
I like this design. Now, from a balance standpoint, if these are the right yield point numbers and all that, this needs so much testing. I have no idea.
I just kind of started throwing numbers out there to a certain aspect.
Yeah, I don't know Votann well enough in gameplay to know, is 6 yield points an insane number to spend on heal 3?
I think it's a pretty insane number.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have it as heal only 2? Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's got to be terrible.
But it was originally you can spend up to 6, and for every 2 you heal 1. Then I was like, I don't know, man, that heals quite a bit. Randomly having it throughout, especially if you're pairing it with Need Guard, which is giving you extra yield points from destroying enemy units. So this one needs a lot of testing to figure out what numbers need to actually happen. But the idea was to try and push spending yield points for other things and trying to see like, okay, what does that do to the actual army rule when we're really trying to stay away from fortified takeover?
Okay.
It should be kind of fun, especially because like Ironkin, they feel like they're the thing that you want to be in hostile acquisition mostly anyways. So thematically, they kind of fit together a little bit there. But what do you have for the second one?
We'll save the clowns for last. Let's do my Tau.
Yeah, I thought you were doing Tau, especially because like you had brought up messing with like weapon loadouts. And Tau is kind of the one for that with the experimental cadre or whatever it was.
Tau was I feel vindicated.
Yeah.
So I listen to competitive podcasts and other stuff while I'm doing work, right?
Okay.
And one of them on their episode for the week had one of the guys talk about something that I literally had just been hammering on a table about the night beforehand while I was working on this detachment, because they were like, Tau battle suits should cost more points but be better.
Oh yeah.
So that they feel like a proper investment and like they're what you think they should be. And I'm like, it's so correct. It hurts. Do you want to know why I know it's correct? Because I was looking looking up stuff from 9th edition while I was putting this detachment together. Do you know how much a crisis suit costs right now?
Crisis suit?
Obviously, they're in threes, so we divide. But what do you think an average one crisis suit out of the 3 costs right now?
I don't know. I think they're like 35, 40.
It's as low as 30 up to 40 points.
Yeah, which is insane, honestly.
And that's with all their guns and everything. That's a full ass crisis suit with all the bells and whistles attached.
And like 3 models to 120 points.
Yeah, down to like 90 or 95 or whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's stupid. So would you like to take a guess to remember back to 9th edition on how much a crisis suit cost 1 codex ago?
Ooh, that is tough to remember back to. Dude, I don't know. I was gonna say like 50. Well, because I mean there was a bunch of like you had to do your war gear upgrades and stuff.
You paid for everything. You paid for every gun.
Yeah, so it could have been like 60, 65 for some of the loadouts.
So real quick, a crisis battle suit, the core suit with nothing attached yet, which reminder you had to have 3 guns, was 45 points for the body.
Was it really?
Yeah. The absolute minimum loadout is like 60 points for a minimum loadout.
A lot of those weapons were like 15 points, weren't they?
Yeah. And they got more the more copies of it you added.
Oh, I forgot they did that.
Yeah. Triple CIB was plus 10, plus 20, plus 25.
Oh.
Triple CIB was like a 110 point model.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it was cool. That is honest. That's a lot more than I remember. That feels so much more correct.
Yeah. And you have to remember, like, because we had 4 army rules for every army, they had their upgrades that you could add on that would be like plus 15 to plus 25 points in addition and all that.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. But the point is, I feel it on an emotional level that goddamn spamming 400 crisis suits because they're little shits is painful.
Yeah.
So I want to bring back Gundams should feel like fucking Gundams.
All right, no, I'm here with you.
So I made a 1-point detachment. It's called Gundam or Get the Fuck Out. I did not keyword this, and I know some of you are going, you can't do that because Retaliation Cadre exists. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Oh, we're gonna nuke Retaliation Cadre. Fuck 'em.
No. I did something more interesting. In our second detachment of the evening, I have started getting into what can I do with a detachment. We did a baseline one. Let's start playing.
Okay.
So Gundam or Get the Fuck Out, 1 detachment point for Purge the Foe because it just matched correctly thematically with this.
All right.
We're doing something weird. Battlesuit character models, not units, in your army have plus 2 W, plus 2 wounds, and always count as leading a unit.
Okay.
There is a second line to this detachment rule, though. You cannot include more than 1 Crisis Star Scythe Battlesuit unit, 1 Crisis Fire Knife Battlesuit unit, and or 1 Crisis Sunforge Battlesuit unit in your army. So you are limited to a maximum of 9 crisis suits if you bring 3 of each type.
Okay.
Because it's 1 unit.
Okay. Yeah, the way that you said that, for some reason, I was like lagging behind. And I was like, the 3 is too few. Okay. I get what you're saying, but like, they're still not knights, but 9. Okay.
My point of this detachment, we are focusing on the commanders. That was the point of the detachment. But I needed this to not just be something that you would always take and just take like Retaliation Cadre and just stack a whole bunch of buffs onto your crisis suits.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to tactically use our crisis suits if we're using this. We are focusing on our commanders. We are doing some fun stuff. I've given you a lot of toys in this to make this like couple of units be interesting, but you end up with a limited resource on the thing they are normally supposed to do, which is lead crisis suits.
Okay. And the intent is for the battle suit character models to not have to lead, but still get their abilities.
Yeah.
Because like I think all of them have the like while leading a unit get stuff.
Bingo. Also, it gets weirder in a minute. I cooked with this one. I wanted to see what would work in 11th rules, and I don't think I broke any rules. This allows for something cool. So everyone likes the twins, right? The cool new twins, only like $110 for 2 models.
They are very cool though.
Conveniently meta breaking the second they came out so that you would have to buy that $110 2 models.
I mean, they're cool enough that like anybody that likes battle suits wanted them anyways. But yeah, they were a little broken.
So my first enhancement is for you. Bond Twin. It's an upgrade, but it can target battlesuit character model only. So we're just doing it because you can ×3.
Oh, okay.
The bearer can be attached to the following units: Commander in Enforcer Battlesuit, Commander in Cold Star Battlesuit. And then I end it with, this does not count towards the enhancement limit for the attached unit. This is because of a stupid FAQ thing that you can't have enhanced and upgrade together. This gets around that. Because I need an enhancement to make this work, but I want to be able to have an enhancement on the unit should you want to pay for it.
Yeah, and like I get why they have that as like the default, but it does limit a decent amount.
We have to work within the limits of the edition. No edition so far has been perfect. So this allows a commander to lead a commander, and because of our detachment rule, both commanders count as leading a unit. So they both give each other their buff.
Both give each other a buff.
Cold Star gives assault and 12-inch move to the Enforcer, who has an 8-inch natural move. And the Enforcer will give armor pen -1 to opponent attacks against them. So they're tankier.
All right, I see what you're doing here now. That's interesting.
So now you have the ability to make, if you wanted to make all of your commanders be in pairs, you could technically just do this upgrade ×3, boom, 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 and do a triple pair of Cold Stars and Enforcers, bring the twins along for the ride. Fuck it, bring our boy I'm not doing Farsight's full name, but bring Farsight.
Come on.
You could bring them all, bring Shadow Sun, play them all. It's almost like 1,000 points-ish, assuming the enhancement costs some points or whatever. So like you could go ham on characters.
So I also didn't really pay attention to balancing enhancement points just because that's so minute.
That is not the point of this, is to figure out the detachment and then you figure out your points for your enhancements later. We do that live.
This one is an expensive enhancement because it's basically 2 enhancements tied together because you're enhancing both it and the bear, then the attached thing. But like, whatever. It's cool. I like it.
It gets weirder too, because we're going to talk about a different rule in 11th. So the second enhancement is relevant.
Yeah.
Fusion blades are back, baby. We have Gundams with laser swords in this fucking house. Removing them from the 10th edition stuff was a mistake. So fusion blades, upgrade, battlesuit unit only. So a normal type of upgrade, and this will work with any battlesuit unit. Take your pick, there's a lot of them. Specifically though, for the intent here,
The ghost kill.
those crisis units.
Oh.
Those crisis units, you have very few of that you're allowed. You could pick those 3. Or for something spicier, you could pick the one that is not taking the Bond Twin upgrade,
Yeah.
because you can attach to an upgraded unit. So now you have 2 upgrades on this pair. But for what it does, models in this unit have the following weapon: Fusion Blades, range melee, attacks 4, weapon skill 3, strength 6, AP -2, damage 2. Pretty baseline. Like I just looked at like what an average captain-y thing should have. Did weapon skill 3 instead of 2 because they're Tau.
That makes sense. That seems like a reasonable stat line.
Yeah, I was looking at like on average, what do like Terminator equivalents in every army have access to? 622 seem like a pretty safe, because like you could put this on a commander and 3 suits. You get 4 models now that get 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 6 -2, 2 damage.
The only real question is like the number of attacks. But whatever.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah, it's a good starting point.
So you've got 2 different ways you do it. You either do the nice, all right, you get 4 different models that have it, or you do the fun one where you do the fusion blade on one of them, the Bond Twin on the other, and have your Enforcer and Cold Star team up and be twinsy Gundams, which by the way, stat line wise makes them just a bit of a conservative version of the twins. They lose out on some of the twins' weird kick-ass abilities, a couple different extra attack things, but it's actually like reasonable. You could run around with basically 4 copies of the twins, but 3 of them are significantly worse if I'm being honest, but a little worse than the twins.
Yeah.
So for our last enhancement here, because I went with 3 enhancement, 2 strat, Onager Gauntlets back, baby. We're going to send this, if we're doing melee Tau, we're doing it right. So the most beloved artifact of 9th edition is back. Battlesuit character model only. The bearer has the following weapon: the Onager Gauntlet, which I gave precision and hazardous now that we're in an edition with keywords. Hazardous because if you read its lore, it keeps getting its pilot killed. There used to be multiple of them, and now there's only one left in the lore because the pilots keep dying with it.
That's funny. I did not know that. I like it.
So range melee, attacks 4, weapon skill 3, but this one is strength 14, AP -4, damage 3. It's a bit better than it was in 9th edition because strength has a larger area. 9th edition capped out at toughness 8. So this one, it looks really hefty, but it's about what it used to be in 9th when it was like strength 10 in 9th when everything capped out at like 8 toughness.
Yeah, but precision Precision is also...
Precision's a cool add-on now that we've got some keyword stuff, but I gave it hazardous as a downside, so it's got both ends of this. I don't know. I like it, to be honest. It's more of a toy. I don't know if you're going to use it often. I just wanted to have it back because I think the cool, correct choice is to always use it, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, like, it depends on points and all that stuff to, like, actually figure out if you're going to use it. I have some slight concerns on the precision. Hazardous, but, like, it's cool. So, like, let's see what it does. And it fits the full, like, let's make sure that they can actually fight.
Yeah. And there was, I know people are going to point out, but the twins, their melee weapons are their guns. They just fire them in melee because they have melee profiles. That might be the way Tau goes in 11th. And I think it's kind of cool. I always liked shotgun diplomacy as my like secondary army rule I cooked up way back in the day.
The like gun kata is fun.
Yeah. But for this, I went with as it stands now. Obviously you could change this up, but the idea of these being swords and stuff and getting people to do the funny make a laser sword kit bash, it's too fun to not do.
I do wonder if it isn't a mix kind of thing. Like if you shouldn't have a way to turn the gun into a melee weapon for one of them and then another one being the samurai sword or whatever.
I mean, the fusion blades in lore is a fusion rifle that has been modified to basically be constant beam.
Oh, okay. So couple strats still?
Yeah, so my strats are basically just, we're really pushing this is about characters in melee. That's the point of this, right?
Okay, yeah.
First strat, like you, I made up some funny words. Refractive detonation shielding, baby.
Hell yeah.
Lore guy can fix that one later, or just go, that's lore now.
This is the new lore.
He'll just add the blurb under. The cool refractive shielding of the Tau Empire.
Yeah. You like see it and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened.
1 CP war gear strat, your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. Target 1 Tau Empire battlesuit character unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Effect until end of phase. Weapons equipped by models in units attacking that unit have hazardous.
Oh.
This is based off of a Harlequin and Thousand Sun trick we have. This is, you get to hit me, you can probably even kill me, but you're going to have this explode in your face as you do so.
That is fun. That feels thematic with Tau as well. All the like experimental weapons doing hazardous kind of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want to just do the like experimental stims like back in 9th where it's like, just get a 4-up, feel no pain, idiot.
Right? Yeah.
So I went with something that's like, rather than be more defensive, because like we've got a little bit here, I want it to be more offensive like everything else. Like this is the Unga Bunga detachment. Speaking of, Crute Spiritual Training is our other strat. 1 CP for a battle tactic when your fight phase, when a Tau Empire battlesuit character unit from your army is selected to fight, meaning it will work on a character leading crisis suits as well. That battlesuit character unit, your unit's attacks reroll wounds of 1.
Okay.
It's a good strong Unga Bunga melee thing. If this is our only melee detachment, this is extremely safe in my opinion. If you pair it up with the other Tau crisis suit detachment, you kind of nerf that one in a way. So I think this is safe. Question mark, you do get extra strats from that one to accent this one with. It might still be very good to do, but I don't think it'll be more broken than anything else. I actually think if anything, you probably want to pair this one with something like safe and good, like just Cao Yun's 2 points. Yeah, I pronounced it right for once. What of it?
Never again.
Never again.
I feel like because it's Purge, this is pretty good.
It's weird because like, if you look at it, half of Tau is Purge.
I thought it was just Monka and Retaliation.
Oh no, it's just Montcon Retaliation. I thought the 1 pointer was also it. So yeah, this is your 1 pointer Purge, but it does nerf your crisis suits.
I feel like it doesn't really nerf them so much as it nerfs your list.
It makes it where you cannot make a crisis spam list.
Yeah, you have to actually like do other things, which it's neat.
I liked playing with a lot of different aspects of the game in this one. I got to play with what can lead what. I got to play with you are always leading tech. I got to play around with hey, soft ban a unit because you're using this detachment. I want you to play a certain way rather than go for the full bore. You cannot have the fun. Do not play these together.
Which, I mean, sometimes you have to do that, but also...
Yeah, you can have the fun still. It's just like, look, you can't do the stupid broken thing you would have been able to do. You have to pick a lane.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, enough Tau. We got to get to your last one.
All right, so this is the one that I started with the idea and can kind of pushing it off because this is the weirdest one for me. We've got Chaos Knights, and Chaos Knights are not in a good spot right now.
No shit. Are you saying Battle Shock might not be the best thing to base an army rule on?
Yeah, maybe not. So like there were a lot of ideas that I had for Chaos Knights. There's plenty of design space to explore. I'd started working on like a full rewrite of the army rule. It like something, you know how Death Guard did their index into detachment, changed things up in that way. And I was like, maybe I can do something like that with Chaos Knights.
Yeah, it's called Delete It and Return Us 9th Edition's Favor of the Dark Gods.
Yeah. So it was one of those where like I did a bunch of stuff on that. It was just messy and it wasn't really that fun to do either, if I'm going to be honest. There's potential there, but it was just trying to fix mistakes. And then, you know, there was just like trying to like do some other, you know, big knight fixes. And that was kind of fun because like we've got the Bastions of Tyranny, which is the Knight Tyrant detachment for 1 point.
Yeah.
There was something to look at and be like, oh, just do that. But like for other knights. And eventually I landed here. The detachment rule, greed is good. In the fill your army roster step, change the enhancement limit to the following. For a 1k game, you go from 2 to 3. For a 2k game, you go from 4 to 6. Titanic Chaos Knights can have up to 2 unique enhancements each.
Okay, you made this as a love letter to me. I'm aroused. Continue.
I think you might know where I'm trying to take this detachment.
Is this actually just going to be Favor of the Dark Gods?
It isn't, but there's a lot of ideas going on with it. The idea is to try and take 11th edition and make something more customizable for knights.
The good part of 9th Knights where it was like, I've only got 5 models. I've only got 5 whole different types of models in my whole range. Let me make them special so it's not just click the button, add it to my list. That's all there is to do.
Yes. So I did point this at 2 points, and I don't know if that's like balance wise where it should be.
Sure, but you don't want to like start at 3. You'd rather start at 2 and then have to nerf it to 3 if it's a problem.
Right. And I mean, like at 3, I probably could put a couple more enhancements in here and nobody would blink too much. But like I liked 2 because then you could technically still have design space for more 1 points in the future while keeping this in mind. Because like the detachment rule doesn't say use only these enhancements. If there's a 1 point detachment that you want to have in addition to it and it's got enhancements, yeah, go.
Trust me, I had already thought that before you told me this was 2 and really killed the boner. I was dreaming up a stupid idea already.
You could, there was an idea of, honestly, I was like, I could make 2 1 point detachments, carving it up kind of thing.
Sure, so you could choose to take one of them with like a certain part of the list that was good enough and add it to a 2-pointer that had other enhancements you wanted to pair with those.
Yeah, and like theme the enhancements for those 1 point, because you know you're only gonna have 5-6 enhancements depending, whatever, and like theme whatever to a like, oh, this is gonna be the more defensive ones, or like this is gonna be the Titanic Knights, this is gonna be the War Dog ones. Like you could pick and choose as necessary for the 1 points and like figure out a way to do that. But I feel like it's more fun to go with a 2 point detachment where we have several enhancements and we still have the ability to play around with 1 point detachments to pair up with it.
I think this is probably easier to balance this way too.
Yeah.
If we're actually trying to take this all the way to production.
Also went with Purge the Foe just because I was like, whatever. Chaos Knights, figure it out. This detachment I feel like has more figure it out in balance pass, what needs to be done, as opposed to figuring it out from a thematic level. But yeah, let's just start going through some of the enhancements ideas that I had. Merciless Conqueror, Titanic Chaos Knight model only. Each time the bearer ends a charge move until the end of the turn, add 1 to the attack characteristics and improve the armor penetration characteristics by 1 for melee weapons equipped by the bearer.
We can shorten that wording now in 11th, but yep, cool.
True Demon Fire, Titanic Chaos Knight model only. In the declare battle formation step, select one of the model's Melta weapons, and there's like 3 of them, and then that weapon's attack attacks have +1 strength, +1 damage.
Okay.
I think this one is actually just a port from 9.
Yeah, I believe the way you would do it now is you go one of the model's weapons with Melta in brackets.
Yeah. The only reason I didn't do that was originally I didn't have this as Titanic. And then I was like, the War Dogs could be a problem. Let's not do that.
That's fair.
And we've got Fell Shield, Titanic Cast Knight model only. Each time a melee attack is made against the bearer, each unmodified save of 6 inflicts a mortal wound to the attacker.
Let's go, 6s reflect, baby!
Hell yeah. I don't know if that's the same wording, but I remember 6s reflect, and I was like, we're fucking doing that.
6s reflect, I have a personal love for as someone who was bodied by it with what I assume had been the 8th edition codex very early in 9th when we were playing. I love 6s reflect. It's a lot like, again, in Thousand Suns and in Harlequins, we've got the, like, make the other guy's stuff hazardous.
Yeah, you brought up the one that made it hazardous, and I was like, yes. I see, we were both thinking of similar ideas. Then we've got Warp Blast, Titanic Cast Knight model only. Each time an attack is made against the bearer, the opponent cannot reroll hit, wound, or damage roll.
That's a neat one. That's kind of powerful against certain armies, and against other armies it's not nearly as powerful, but it's a neat one.
It feels like it's pretty useful against a lot of armies. There's some lists that it's not, but Warp Legend, Titanic Cast Knight model only, the bearer has a Feel No Pain 6-up.
Sweet.
It's nice and simple. Indomitable is an upgrade. Titanic Cast Knight model only. This model has +4 wounds.
That's a lot. And if you stack that with the 6-up Feel No Pain, that is a lot of survivability.
And this one is specifically an upgrade so that you can take the extra 4 wounds on a few of your knights. Whereas like the 6s reflect is only going to be on a knight. Then we've got Warp Armor, which is another upgrade. Titanic Cast Knight model only. The bearer has a 2-up save against melee attacks.
That's an interesting one. I don't know if you have anything about invulns, because our invuln only works on shooting.
Yep.
And usually you need like a strat to make it work on melee and go down to a 4 and all that. So this is interesting because giving you a better save against melee but no invuln against it versus the worst save against range with an invuln is very interesting. It almost feels demony.
It almost feels demony.
While called Warp Armor, yes. I like that.
Then we've got Dauntless, which is another upgrade, and this is Chaos Knight models only, so not Titanic, just has to be a Chaos Knight.
Oh, okay, so this will be weaker because a War Dog can take it, sure.
You could technically still take it on another Titanic Knight, so this one only gives +2 to your wounds.
Oh, so you could do 3 Indomitables, and then you could switch over to Dauntless if you wanted to keep spamming.
And you could double them up.
Yeah, but at that point, we're spending a lot of points in addition to a lot of Titanic Knights who are already a lot of points, so at certain points, we're just not fitting into 2K, yeah.
Like, you can only take 2 unique enhancements per Titanic Knight. You probably don't want just 6 wounds. You probably want something a little bit fancier. Hopefully, there's a couple here that pique your interest a little bit more than doing something dumb like that, but, you know, maybe.
I feel like, from a balance standpoint, if it doesn't end up being a problem, the +2 wound is, like, the cheapest one here, and it's hopefully just, like, a tenner. And then, like, when they're at 1990, they just throw +2 wounds on someone who doesn't have 2.
Yeah, honestly, absolutely with you on that. Like, this is the cheap. It's not really going to do anything, but, like, it's still there. Then Relentless Fury is another upgrade, and this is for War Dog models only. And the bearer's ranged weapons have the assault ability. So a little something for some War Dogs.
Okay. I think that one's pretty solid too then.
Like, it's not fancy, and I think there might be one that already has assault or a way to get it that's easy or something like that.
It's a fair way to have this be a mixed detachment where you don't have to take a dedicated War Dog detachment and still get what is a decent offensive buff, especially for like a shooting War Dog where you want to be bouncing around.
Yeah, which like kind of fits with the War Dog being just kind of bouncing around the big Titanic Knights. And then Stalker is War Dog model only. The bearer has the Scout 6 ability. If the bearer already had Scout 6, it gains Scout 8 instead.
I think this one, someone is going to say, no, we can't name it Stalker when Stalker is a type of War Dog. We'll have to swap it to something else, even if it's like Night Hunter or something.
Yeah, that's so much better.
Sex Predator.
Yes.
Wait a second. Maybe not that one.
Oh no, YouTube.
Emperor's Children Defiler. Shit.
Oh no. Yeah, so I think maybe could make 1 or 2 more. There's numbers that you could change around a little bit. Definitely how much they cost is something that could be figured out. But this was kind of where I landed on the let's not go too far, because clearly GW doesn't want you to do character customization. like we had a ninth.
It's frustrating though. Like, design talk real quick. This solves so many problems at once. Thinking of knights, the reason favor is such a better army rule than fucking battle shock is knights is a very small range where you do not have many unique types of models. A very point heavy range where you do not have many models in play, and it's a range where because you have not many models in play, you end up with an awkward amount of points left over that you're going to have to spend on enhancements because you can't fit another frame in.
And if you don't get the ability to actually customize each one, there's only so many list permutations available.
Yes, exactly. Whereas all of it gets solved at once by just giving us the ability to customize the hell out of the knights with these types of ability. This is why it was such a better design in 9th compared to 10th for them. It is so frustrating to have like dead ass picked backwards on what was correct.
I do think that this detachment is the kind of thing that fits close enough. I could see this be real kind of thing. Like, I did not go into like, okay, if we add all of these permutations on like the unique enhancements on this knight and that knight with the loadouts, like what breaks at points. I didn't do any of that shit. I just went like, this one's kind of cool. That one also sounds kind of cool.
I think you went very defensive. This whole chunk in the middle was defensive, like 6 in a row.
So like I tried like grouping them up of like, you know, the Titanic Chaos Knights and then the upgrades to them, then just general and then War Dogs kind of thing. And so like I wanted the defensive ones to be kind of upgrades at a certain point, just because like if you need the defense for your 4 models on the table, you have access to it. You know, you're not getting locked out. Because at one point I did play around with like each of the enhancements having limits. And then I was like, oh, this is messy. This is nasty. This does not spark joy. This feels like honestly some of the worst parts of 9th, where it was a bunch of logistics filling out papers of what gets where kind of thing.
A Pathfinder 1.0 character sheet.
Yes, exactly.
Do I really need to know my character's pube length?
Yeah.
Why is this a relevant stat we're tracking?
And so it was one of those that like, I was like, okay, that's all gone. Just rip all of that out, put it at the detachment rule level. We're making that change there. And then you get free reign. Any balance needs to be done at point cost or numbers here. Or like maybe there's an enhancement that just doesn't work. That's fine. The only real concern I have with this is it does potentially cause problems for future design space. Because from now on, any 1 point detachment you make, you have to keep in mind that this is a thing.
That's why I think this just, while I love the design, I love this. I think this realistically has to lead to the discussion where we all sit down in a meeting for 3 hours, probably twice, to discuss if we just scrap stupid ass battle shock and swap back to favor of the dark gods.
Yeah.
You just come to the conclusion of this should be an army rule level thing. We design everything in Chaos Knights around it, and now we can have detachments adding in enhancements to work in this system. And you have your core 8 or 10 that are the army rule, and then every single detachment from then on out is adding its own 2 or 3 that are flavored for it.
Yeah, because I mean, that is kind of what this detachment is trying to do. There was only so much. Like, I didn't want to do actual Favor of the Dark Gods, because the way that, like, Favor of the Dark God was balanced was, like, you know, Tzeentch doesn't go with fucking Khorne, right? Like,
yeah, there was other stuff with Favor of the Dark Gods where it was awkward because, like, War Dogs could take anything, and it was usually cheaper to put it on a War Dog, and it's like, we just end up in War Dog spam. Congratulations.
It had some of its own problems, but then it was like, all right, there needs to be a full redesign of that system for what we're doing here. But that was honestly kind of what this detachment was trying to do. Playing around with core fundamental list building ideas is always fun. But I've gone through my wackiest detachment. I believe you've got one that's clowning around a little bit.
All right, so my last one's Harlequins, which was actually my first draft pick when we were picking our factions. Here's the weirder part. I think I may have done more rules play in my Tau design. I just think because I was doing 1-pointers, the Harlequins one is the most design space that I shoved into a 1-pointer. An unfortunate wall of text because of what it is.
I think I know what you're talking about, because Harlequins is a little weird.
It goes beyond that. So I'm going to stand my ground that this is a 1-pointer because of the amount of work that is being done to fix something that is just, it's a lot of words to get to a point where it should have been fixed outside of this detachment. But this is what we're working with because this is the shitty world we live in. something.
I'm gonna laugh when we look at unique tags, but let's see what you got.
Okay, before I show you, do you want to take a guess of what I did to Harlequins? I just want to see how much you know me.
There's a lot that you could do, given that like they're not really a faction, but they are. They already still have, is it 2 or 3 detachments now?
4.
I have 4?
Yeah, and they're all keyworded the same, so you can play none of them together.
I did not know that they had 4 of them.
2 1-pointers, 2 2-pointers, and you can't play them together.
Yeah, right, because there's...
All 4 of them have the same fucking keyword.
They do, yeah. Is one of the things that you did remove the keyword being
No.
I'm gonna fuck with these other detachments in this detachment.
The data slate coming hopefully the week after we record, hopefully 2 weeks after we record this so it doesn't interfere with league start, that will surely fix that. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really... I mean, you're not fucking around with movement.
Hell no. Bro, I can't get into understanding Eldari movement.
The fucking agile maneuvers is not happening. I can tell you that right now.
I don't think GW understands it to a safe level. I'm sure as fuck not gonna modify agile maneuvers.
Oh my god, are you doing... Okay, I got it here. Especially because I think... So at one point I was like, I want to do Eldari. And you're like, it's fine because I'm not doing Eldari. And one of the ideas I had was pairing up Harlequins and Wraiths together because they're so cool. And partially because I'm fucking around with a list that's trying to do that and it's not working because Wraiths are terrible.
So, meet the Cackling Poltergeist. Cackling Poltergeist is a take and hold 1-point detachment for Eldari, but Harlequins. It has a very long detachment rule.
I am still reading, trying to figure out Wraiths. There's no Harlequins.
You have to get lower.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
This is what I just said, but in the not any possible way I had thought of.
Yeah, this is me cooking.
You definitely cooked on this. Yeah. Holy shit.
All right, so let me explain it now that Eric has sat there and read what I did.
This is cool.
This has a very long series of rules for a detachment, but read any Harlequins detachment and it's like several paragraphs.
This is definitely a tough sell on a 1-point detachment, but run us through it.
All right, stay with us till the end here. It's going to take a second. Eldari Psyker models from your army have the following abilities. Plot armor. While this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Wraith construct units, this model has the lone operative ability. Luck of the Afterlife. While a Wraith Blades, Wraith Guard, or Wraith Lord unit from your army is within 12 inches of this model, that unit has a 5-up invulnerable save. So that means if you have a Shadow Seer, which is the intended target of this, but yes, it could work with any Eldari Psyker technically, then it has Spirit Seer's lone op ability, the Tech Marines get, and it has an aura of 5-up invuln save to the Wraiths.
I like it.
That's the main actual ability it does. First step, fix a datasheet to work the way that it has to for this detachment. Second step, 5-up invuln aura.
Which is good because like Wraiths are
ass. We'll get to it. There's a lot of words in this detachment, and you're like, this is a lot of stacking buffs. Wraiths are real fucking shit, dog.
Yeah, they are.
Anyway, the next step of this, keywords. Wraith Guard, Wraith Blades, and Wraith Lord units from your army gain the battle focus ability. This is from the 2-point detachment for Wraiths. It literally makes Wraiths playable. They do not even get a fucking army rule without adding this to every detachment where you want them to be playable in the faction. This codex has problems.
It's tough.
Then there is one more part of the detachment rule. Faction keywords. Wraith Guard, Wraith Blades, Wraith Lords, and Wraith Knight units from your army gain the Harlequins faction keyword and lose the Azurani faction keyword. They're now Harlequin units.
That's crazy.
Paint your Wraiths as Harlequins.
That's so cool.
Technically, there's nothing stopping this design space.
It is so wild that you went there because that's been something that I've been trying to cook up a list that combines these two because they're so cool. This is perfect.
So it is a very long detachment ability in order to make this function, just because we're fixing some codex stuff here. This would obviously be like a Grotmas style detachment, and then you fix it properly in a codex in a year.
Yeah, because like if you got rid of the needing the battle focus part.
If you got rid of that, and if you made it where Wraith Guard, Wraith Blades, Wraith Lords, Wraith Knights have the ability to have Harlequins or or whatever keyword they need in any given army type, then it wouldn't be a problem, right? You could have a very short normal detachment.
Giving the keywords as a detachment thing isn't too bad. At one point, detachment, so long as you don't keyword ruin it. But like the battle focus, just that like extra little bit on this detachment rule that's like, it's starting to get messy. But altogether, once you like actually look at it, it's cool. It's not that complicated. It's like you said, it's just a bunch of rules fixing, but there's more.
Yeah, from a complexity standpoint, we're high now, right? Because I did a lot.
So like you can't have 6 enhancements and 4 more strats.
So what I did, this does not have any keywords because go fuck yourself. Harlequins is an actual faction. I'm not blocking it from being played with other Harlequin detachments. It's the entire point is to play this with a Harlequins detachment to give you extra different play lines in Harlequins. This unlocks basically the ability for you to have an anchor in your lists instead of being a bunch of trying to do reconnaissance, get to the different corners and all that. That's why it's taken hold and it's about wraiths, etc.
I mean, it is interesting also because you don't have the troop battle line.
Yes, you do not get battle line on your troops in this detachment. So you have to either take Ghost of the Webway to do that or whatever else so that
Or
you
play wraiths.
Yeah, or you just go hard on your now coolly painted wraiths.
Yeah, I like it.
There we go. That's where we're at. So with the rest of this, I actually went down a stratagem to 1 stratagem and have 3 enhancements because I think the enhancements is more fun here. And because I checked through the Harlequin detachments and I looked specifically for if wraiths were Harlequins, what would I break? And looking at it, you can get advance and charge in the good detachment. And you can get fallback, shoot and charge, and you can get a couple other niche things in the bad detachment. And I was like, I kind of like how that balances out because you get a few more toys that aren't as strong in Ghost of the Webway, and then in Serpent's Brood, you get advance and charge for Wraithblades or Wraithlord. So I like that, but I also didn't ban you from playing this with the Wraith detachment, which could get messy because this says Eldari Psyker, so technically you could still play it with a Spirit Seer, and it's ignoring the first ability because Spirit Seer has that one, but it makes Spirit Seer have the 5-up invuln aura in addition to everything that detachment does. So before we get to the enhancements, the only stratagem that this gives you is a copy paste of Wraithbone armor from the Wraith strat list. So you get no new stratagems if you stack this with the 2-pointer Wraith. That's how I balanced it rather than keyword lock it.
Okay. I generally would not like that just because like 1-point detachments are already so small that like why are we wasting time here? But because the detachment rule is so complex, at least from the initial look, going down on strats, yes, that seems obvious. But making the one strat a copy paste from another one makes some sense. And honestly, it's a pretty good strat. So
yeah, for the strat, for those who don't know, opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, enemy unit selects Wraith construct unit that's not Titanic. It's just -1 damage. It's DR.
It's a pretty strong strat. It's nice to have access to it.
So you get that as the only addition to Harlequins, but you still get advance and charge because it's a Harlequin unit if you're playing with Serpent's Brood, or you get like 3 of them that will affect this in a way in Ghost of the Webway. There is still play if you're playing this as intended. If you're playing it as unintended, technically it works, but you won't get nearly as much out of it.
So clearly, you just need to run it with the Corsair detachment, and we just have no focus at all.
Just scatterbrain.
Yeah.
So my main thing here before we get into the enhancements, the last part is, Brad, the faction keyword change doesn't really do anything. It doesn't matter if it's Harlequins or Azurani. I know, but like it's a thematic point. Like the entire point is to make it be Harlequin Wraiths. Like the whole thing is themed around let's make Harlequin Wraiths a real thing, get some official GW paint jobs in the next codex, probably rather embrace this wholly as a thing in lore and, you know, like write a little your freebie codex 2-page blurb that everyone will point to for the rest of the time as is canon. That's what we want out of this. All right, so the last part here, the enhancements. We've got 3 of them. Why didn't you lock it to Shadow Seer, Brad? I'm glad you asked. The first enhancement is called Hallucinogenic Tonic. Death Jester model only. The bearer has the Psyker keyword, and weapons equipped by the bearer have Psychic. So the Death Jester, the cool sniper guy, becomes a Psyker.
All right.
He becomes a Psyker like the Shadow Seer. So now the Eldari Psyker triggers for him, thumbs up, and he gets a cool bonus for himself in that his weapons get Psychic, so he gets to ignore modifiers, and he's a sniper, so that's really cool.
I'll be honest, I thought he had Psychic.
No, The only psychic is the Shadowseer. Eldar is a psychic race, but they don't put psychic on every character.
They don't put psychic on a bunch of stuff. And that's always irritated me.
There's weird stuff. It made sense in 10th when psychic was purely a downside and you didn't want it on your fucking data sheet.
That's true.
Then for the one that you're actually going to probably always buy 3 of, script readers. Upgrade. Wraith Guard / Wraith Blades unit only. The unit's attacks can reroll hit rolls of 1.
Okay, so their 4-ups is slightly...
Yeah, their 4-ups is more defensible now because you're like, they're 4-ups, but if they're near an Eldari Psyker, their sheet makes them get +1 to hit. But also everything is always -1 to hit and your -1 ballistic skills. So like really it's more like 5s half the time. So the rerolls helps mitigate it without just being another add a ballistic skill too.
That's good. And it's the Wraith Guard and Wraith Blades, not the Knight.
Yeah, not Knight, not Lord. So not even the Dreadnought equivalent for this one.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And then our last one here, because obviously the Shadowseer is the one that we're intending to put in this. Techno Sorcerer, Shadowseer model only. This model has the following ability. The Best Medicine. See how I said I have a similarly named one to yours? Mine is Laughter. Laughter is the best medicine. The Best Medicine, Psychic, because why not? Once per turn, in your command phase, select one friendly Wraith Construct unit, excluding Titanic units, within 6 inches of this model. The selected unit heals 3. Weapons equipped by that unit gain lethal hits until end of turn.
So that's why you knew the heal when I was like, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, I had already looked it up because I was doing it in this.
Okay. No, this honestly works pretty well with Shadowseer.
So Shadowseer basically becomes a Tech Marine with a 5-up invulnerable save aura, which I'm pretty sure a Tech Marine has in one of the 50 Space Marine detachments I'm not going to go look at.
That seems right. So like altogether, this is still a pretty messy detachment.
It really is, but that's the problem. You and I talked about this the other weekend because you were building an Eldari list for reasons.
Yeah.
And Wraiths fucking blow.
So bad. Like the Lord
is defensible because it's literally just an old dread. Not that old dreads are good, but compared to a Wraith, an old dread is godly.
It's defensible in the like, it technically exists and does a thing.
This is casually playable. Wraiths aren't even.
But like the rest is so bad. Pairing them up with Harlequins is just such a cool idea. I've been toying around with that idea.
It's messy, but it's meant to be a big stopgap thing, right? You show this off at your Grotmas or whenever you're handing this out and you go like, this is messy, but this is us showing you a little preview of something you can look out for next year. And they show off a foot and you go, Wraith refresh, new Wraith Lord.
Yeah.
You know, like you do something like that. Or you do it and you go, tune in for Codex Supplement Harlequins.
Ooh, there you go.
I would prefer full Codex, but like I'm taking baby steps to make sure we don't fucking die.
But like honestly, like a Codex Supplement.
It makes more sense than jamming them into the singular Codex where they're like not really in existence. They were given 3 seconds of thought, if that, because Ghost of the Webway was so bad.
Until we get more units, it makes sense. A full Codex for them is tough. Like you would have to do more stuff like this, which is cool, but like
yeah, and Wraiths is like the easiest thing to make be part of multiple different types of Eldar, where it's like
right,
everyone is okay with Wraiths. It's your afterlife, keep on working.
Yeah,
man too angry to retire.
The only one it doesn't really work with is Drukhari.
Yeah, Drukhari's got a whole lore stuff, but that's fine.
But yeah, I mean, like Wraiths work pretty well. They fit in. Yeah, this is a cool detachment. It is a little messy, but like once you get past some of the like silly parts.
This is the crunchiest detachment of my 3. I think Tau is my cleanest attempt at stressing rules. Genestealers is very basic. Literally GW could have written it.
Genestealers is your like cleanest. This is just a 1-point detachment.
Yeah, but like the Tau, I think with the way I handled it is I stretched the rules of what we can do in an attachment just to see what was possible.
Yeah.
In ways that I think turned out clean and kind of a little bit of sexy. Whereas Harlequins is crunchy and a lot of making things function.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that we both had some problems that we tried to fix.
I appreciate we both sandbagged ones that were actually each other's bitches a couple weeks ago.
Right? Yeah, actually.
When you picked Chaos Knights, I'm like, why the hell did you do that? You don't care about Chaos Knights just because I'm painting them and you want want to troll me with something, but no, it's because we had the talk.
No.
And you were like, I got this, bud.
I can spark a little bit of joy.
So that is our first attempt at designing dream detachments. Please, 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 please share us comments on your thoughts on how this went. Ways that maybe is 6 too many in one episode. This might have been too long for some people. They'd prefer if we only did 4 of them. Maybe I think the one that I most agree with is instead of literally writing out strats legally, we just sum up a stratagem that will do this.
That is actually like, so part of that is like audio audience, but like it's probably going to be tough even then, like as we're reading it out.
Yeah. So if you have ideas, please share it with us. If you liked this, etc., please make sure. It always helps with the first time we do a series to know people like this series. We should do this.
Because I mean, it was fun.
This is our jam, guys.
Yeah.
If you like this, tell us, because like I love making these types of episodes. I love getting to like stretch the design muscles, like to think stuff up.
There is a lot of design space to still explore.
Yeah, we did these 6 factions, right? But I'm not saying they're like banned and we're done with them in the series, because like you could go back and do stuff multiple times. Look at Space Marines. They did it 50 times and they're not done.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I've got ideas for Chaos Knights and I've got like 1 or 2 partially designed Custodes detachments as well.
And I think it'll be interesting. You design some pre-codex, and then after you have new codex, okay, they changed this one's army rule. Ooh, I've got new ideas.
I mean, even they just change up the detachments and it's like, okay, how do we combo? How do we play off of that?
How can we accent this with something else to make a really cool, fun, fluffy list of like orc vehicles plus orc walker unit, and throw in a tank busta 1-pointer or something and just go full junkyard smash?
Yeah, I mean, at some point we're gonna have to make a Grey Knights detachment that brings back psychic, right? Like, there's a lot of fun to be had with this, but yeah, I mean, definitely do want to hear feedback on, you know, how you guys actually enjoyed it or not. And yeah, don't forget, we've got next week we're gonna be announcing the giveaway.
Yes. Also, we should do the shout outs that we've been forgetting because YouTube yelled at me. YouTube pleasantries. Check that you're subscribed. We're less than 8K to our 200K milestone. I really want to push for it in the next couple months here. Maybe this week, if all of you push the button this week. It's never going to happen, but you know.
But you know.
I could dream, I guess.
But yeah.
Check all that for us. Do all the normal YouTube pleasantries. Check us out on Patreon. Then you don't have to worry about how to get in the giveaway next week. You're just in it, baby.
That is true.
And also, if you're a patron, you get a bunch of other bonus stuff. We just put up a 40-minute bonus episode that's literally longer than last week's episode of us and me was speedrunning getting canceled. Speaking of our patrons, we have great patrons over on patreon.com/SullySingleton supporting us, like Cameron Rigby.
We also have patrons that pay us enough that we have to shout them out every month. They are Justin Uzacek. Get him.
Can he be a... Oh. Can I be a Kia Neon place to ow na ow? Kozak, but I wrote Eric some 40K foot fetish fanfic.
Oh no. Kugath cured my bald spot.
Lucas.
Logan Grimnar can be my daddy bear.
Lord of Chaos.
Matthew Tsushima.
Michael Melcher.
Miracle Dice did nothing wrong.
Mr. Diesel.
Mixolodius.
Burnt toast.
Morpheo 55.
Narako the Transbian Shark.
Nate Braun.
Nemesis the Noodle Blade.
Nico Maxon.
Not EE.
Omega Shark.
100,000 Zangor to Prospero.
Pacific Rim 3, The Return of Christ.
Pauline Hansen lets 1,000 blossoms bloom.
Pierce forgot about changing their name as a bit for a while.
Pierce will return in the Wolf Time.
Proteus 7331.
Purge the Dough.
Quellen.
Rain Pletcher.
Reigns 13.
Ratchet 7989.
Retheus Khan.
Ringwraith.
Raw.
Rogue Trader Jake.
Ross Warlock.
Roth.
And Rubric Dust tastes like Cool Ranch Doritos.
That guy won one of the Space Marine 2 keys last month.
Nice.
I'm just saying, patrons can win things. We also have producers we thank every week. They are Aetherian, but on deployment.
Ava, Tech Priestess.
Billy the Git.
Brad, Eric, still scared of women.
I hope you enjoyed last week where Miwa read your name. Breaking news, 480 Custodian Guard.
C5 Dynamite.
Certified Peg Star.
Charles Lang.
Corvus.
Demolition Man.
Dolphin Caviar.
Gilgamesh Versus.
Is it me or do 1-point detachments feel too safe? Well, do I have the episode for you, baby?
Not wrong. Just me again down here.
Kiwi Fruitbird.
La Bloop Bloop.
Loaf of Disappointment.
NJ Harlan.
Pizza 00100.
RoboHop.
Sam Brown.
Scott, the Jim Crab, Mr. Fantastic.
Skilder Odinson.
The Discord is not a police state. The police.
The fucking God Emperor of mankind.
The Lash demands a raise for Berilio.
The Ta'au Fire Warrior who's learning to shoot.
Team merch we didn't mention. And on that note,
Victorian Batman.
War Game Simulator.
And we're all dogs in God's hot car.
Thank you so much for supporting the show.
That does it for us, everybody. We are out of here.
Sounds good.